Nobody asks a child, "What kind of armor would you like?" Life just fits you for it. Not in metal and iron, but in silence, in shrinking, in bracing. The world doesn't give you a blueprint, it gives you a mirror. And in that mirror, a child learns how much of themselves is too much to be safe. Psychology calls it adaptation. Spirituality calls it fragmentation. I call it surviving in disguise. You learn to disown your joy because it brought you punishment. You dim your voice because it brought you shame. You start to wear stillness like a second skin. I didn't get strong because I wanted to. I became strong because softness cost me too much. That's how trauma tailors the suit. It never asks for your permission. It just wraps itself around you the moment the world tells you, "Don't come as you are. Come as who we can control." Let's talk about what happens to a nervous system when it learns that feeling makes you a target. The body has two sacred priorities: survive and belong. When both are threatened, it will cut off parts of itself to keep breathing. I was not taught to regulate emotion. I was taught to reject it. I wasn't helped through pain. I was taught to mask it. So my body built walls, not because it hated people, but because it had learned to fear them. I filed joy under high risk. I filed anger under ungrateful. I filed grief under weak. And one by one, my feelings were exiled. And what's worse, people praised me for it. "You're so mature for your age. You're so composed." No one ever asked what it cost, but you know what it cost. If you've ever looked calm on the outside and wanted to scream under your skin, you know exactly what I mean. What they called strength was actually silence performing obedience. No one ever stood in front of a classroom and said, "Today, we'll learn how to suppress emotion." But I learned anyway. It was a silent curriculum, taught through tone, posture, withdrawal, judgment. If I cried too long, I was met with annoyance. If I expressed anger, I was punished. If I was too excited, they said I was being dramatic. Every feeling I showed was graded, and the only passing score was invisibility. So I mastered it. I learned how to shrink in plain sight. This is what trauma does. It rewires the internal world so that emotion feels like a liability, not a language. I didn't become guarded because I'm heartless. I became guarded because my heart was a liability. And the longer I lived in that guarded place, the more I forgot how to speak in anything other than performance. Smiling, nodding, pleasing, while something inside me curled away and whispered, "Don't let them see who you really are. They don't want that." If you've ever wondered where your armor came from, let me name it for you. The voice you hide in public, that's the result of shaming. The overthinking, that's the residue of walking on eggshells. The smile that doesn't match your eyes, that's how you survived emotional neglect. Armor isn't always sharp. Sometimes it's polite. Sometimes it's agreeable. Sometimes it even looks like excellence. The world applauds the polished outer shell, but it doesn't see the person underneath who hasn't exhaled in years. This is why healing takes time, because the suit wasn't made. in one day. It was assembled over years, in rooms where our truth wasn't safe. And every time we take off a layer, a memory gets touched, not to wound us again, but to ask if we're ready to finally hold it, with gentleness instead of shame. We don't just inherit trauma, we inherit the myths built to justify it. And one of the most dangerous myths is this: strength means being unaffected. But that's not strength, that's shut down. That's the nervous system going offline, because no one helped it feel safe while online. Think about it. We praise the child who doesn't cry. We reward the adult who never complains. But do we ever ask what kind of pain they had to swallow to earn that silence? What we call strong is often just emotional malnourishment dressed in productivity. I know now. True strength isn't hard. It isn't closed. Real strength is porous. It breathes. Real strength says, I can hold what I feel without shame. Real strength isn't the absence of vulnerability. It's the presence of safety to show it. No one tells you how painful it is to begin healing. It's not a clean, cinematic montage. It's more like opening a window in a house that hasn't seen light in decades. Dust rises. The air changes. Your body flinches, even though nothing dangerous is happening now, because trauma isn't logical. It's cellular. The first time I said, "That hurt me," my voice shook like I was under attack. I wasn't. But my body remembered a time when I was, and it had no timeline. This is what it means to release armor. Not by force, but by kindness. Kindness toward the younger self, who built it piece by piece, just to make it through the day. Healing is not a battle, it's a reunion. And every time I breathe through discomfort, I take another step out of hiding, into life, into presence, into the soft places I once thought would destroy me. Beneath every layer of armor, beneath every hardened edge, lives a soft core, a part of us too precious for trauma to destroy. Science calls it the ventral vagal system, the seat of safety, connection, and peace. I learned to speak to this part gently, whispering to the frightened child inside, "You are safe now. You may come out." And slowly, that soft core grew stronger. It reminded me what it feels like to trust, to be seen without judgment, to rest in presence instead of armor. This is not weakness. This is courage. The courage to live unshielded, to love without walls, to reclaim the warmth that was always mine. Choosing to walk unarmored means choosing to risk. It means feeling the cold sometimes, the sting of rejection, the ache of misunderstanding. But it also means feeling the sun, the warmth of true connection, the pulse of your own authenticity, the freedom of being fully alive. I carry one small shard of my old armor, not as a burden, but as a reminder that I survived, that I am still here, still breathing, still becoming. And if the world questions my softness, I will stand firm. Because soft is not fragile. Soft is the foundation of life itself. I return the rest of the armor to the earth. Let it rust and fade, becoming soil rich enough to grow new life. My story will be seeds, planted deep in the hearts of those who walk this path after me. And in that soil, tenderness will root, vulnerability will bloom, and strength will be redefined, not as hardness, but as living, breathing, radiant softness. I am no longer the child who built armor to survive. I am the keeper of a flame that does not need shielding. I am free. Finally free to feel the sun on skin no metal can cage.